Let's be honest. There's a reason she keeps appearing in your thoughts long after you've put your phone down. It's not just because she's attractive, it's because something about her felt unfinished. You replay the moments, the way she looked at you, the way she paused before replying, the way the conversation ended just a little too early. And beneath all of it is one quiet question you don't say out loud. Is she thinking about me too? That question doesn't come from ego. It comes from emotional tension, the kind that happens when two people connect without closure. Most men think women stop thinking when they stop talking, but psychology works the opposite way. When something feels unresolved, the mind keeps returning to it. That's why some women don't obsess over the men who give them everything. They obsess over the men who made them feel something they can't fully explain. If she felt a shift in her emotions when she was around you, curiosity, warmth, nervousness, calm, or attraction, her mind didn't forget it. It recorded it. And now that memory plays quietly in the background, asking a single question. Why did he make me feel that way? When a woman starts thinking about a man repeatedly, it's not because he was perfect, it's because he created emotional contrast. Most people behave in predictable ways. They show interest too quickly. They explain themselves too much. They chase when they feel attraction. But when you did something different, when you stayed calm instead of needy, confident instead of reactive, her emotional system noticed. That contrast created tension. And tension is what makes moments stick. A woman's mind is wired to remember how someone made her feel, not what they said. If you made her feel suddenly curious, unexpectedly calm, or quietly drawn in, her brain marked that moment as important. That is why she replays it. Maybe it was the way you held eye contact a little longer. Maybe it was how you walked away instead of trying to impress. Maybe it was how you didn't rush to prove yourself. To her nervous system, that felt like stability mixed with mystery. And that combination is powerful. It signals, this man is emotionally grounded, but not predictable. And when a woman encounters that, her mind doesn't relax. It starts wondering. She begins replaying interactions, rereading messages, thinking about what you meant, not because she is confused, but because her emotions were activated. You didn't give her too much. You gave her something unresolved, and the mind always returns to what feels unfinished. That is the psychological trigger behind why some men quietly stay in a woman's thoughts long after the conversation ends. Most men believe that if they stop texting, they will be forgotten. But emotionally, the opposite often happens. When you don't respond immediately, her mind doesn't think, why hasn't he replied? It thinks, what is he feeling right now? That shift is powerful. Women don't just respond to attention. They respond to emotional presence. And when that presence briefly disappears, it creates an emotional vacuum. The mind doesn't like empty space. It fills it with imagination. She starts wondering, did I say something wrong? Did he lose interest? Did that moment mean more than I realized? And now, without you doing anything, she is thinking about you. This is not about playing games. It's about emotional pacing. When you don't rush to fill every silence, you communicate quiet confidence. You show that your emotional world doesn't depend on her reaction. That makes you feel stable and rare. A woman feels the difference between a man who is calm in silence and a man who is anxious in it. One creates comfort, the other creates curiosity. And curiosity is what pulls her thoughts back to you again and again. That brief pause after a meaningful interaction is often more powerful than 100 messages because it gives her space to emotionally process what she felt around you. And when something feels important, her mind will not let it go. When a woman starts thinking about you, her behavior changes in small but noticeable ways. Not loudly, not dramatically, but subtly. She may pause before replying to your messages, not because she's disinterested, but because she wants to respond the right way. She'll reread what you wrote, paying attention to tone and meaning. That's no longer casual conversation. That's emotional investment. You might notice that she begins to mirror you, your texting rhythm, your humor, even the way you phrase things. This happens automatically when someone feels connected. The mind tries to synchronize. She may also start sending messages that don't seem to have a real purpose. A random thought, a small comment, a simple question she already knows the answer to. Those are not accidents. They are gentle ways of keeping a connection alive without appearing eager. A woman who isn't emotionally engaged lets silence happen easily. A woman who is thinking about you feels uncomfortable when too much time passes. She won't chase, but she will create opportunities. Another sign is attention to detail. She remembers things you said weeks ago, your stress, your plans, something small you mentioned. That's not politeness, that's emotional memory. When a woman is mentally returning to you, she is collecting pieces of you, even when she acts casual on the surface. When a woman is thinking about you, she doesn't usually say it directly. Instead, she starts quietly positioning herself. You might notice her asking questions like, "Are you talking to anyone right now? What kind of woman do you usually like? Are you still close to that person you mentioned?" Those aren't just casual questions. They are emotional measurements. She is trying to understand where she stands in your world. Women rarely compete openly. They compete silently, by adjusting how they show up. She might become softer around you, more playful, more open, or slightly more vulnerable. These shifts aren't random. They are ways of staying emotionally relevant to someone she doesn't want to lose. Sometimes she may even mention that someone else is interested in her, not to show off, but to see if it changes your tone. Because when a woman is emotionally invested, what she wants most is to feel that she matters to you. And if she senses that you might be emotionally unavailable to her, her mind works harder to stay connected. That internal competition between wanting you and protecting herself is one of the strongest signs that she is thinking about you far more than she lets on. One of the most misunderstood signs of attraction is emotional distance. When a woman begins to feel something real, she often doesn't move closer. She becomes more careful. She might reply less. She might seem more reserved. She might act slightly detached. Most men think this means she's losing interest. In reality, it often means the opposite. When her emotions start growing, she becomes aware that she is vulnerable, and vulnerability feels risky. So her mind tries to regain control by creating space. That space is not rejection, it is emotional self-protection. You may notice a pattern where she pulls back for a short time, then returns with a little more warmth, more curiosity, or more attention. That return matters. It means she couldn't stay away emotionally, even when she tried. A woman who truly doesn't care doesn't come back differently. She simply drifts away. But when she feels something for you, distance becomes a way of testing herself. Can I stay detached, or does he still matter to me? And when she finds that you still do, her thoughts return. That is why emotional pullback is often not the end of attraction. It is the moment when her feelings are becoming real enough to scare her. Women don't keep replaying the moments that felt comfortable. They replay the moments that felt unfinished, the conversation that ended too soon, the look that lasted just long enough to be felt, the goodbye that didn't feel final. Those are the moments that stay. When you don't rush to fill every silence, when you don't force emotional clarity, you leave room for imagination, and imagination is where attachment grows. She starts wondering, what did he really mean? Why did that moment feel different? Why do I keep thinking about him? It's not because you gave her more, it's because you gave her just enough to feel something, and not enough to close the emotional loop. That balance creates a sense of depth. You felt calm, but not predictable, warm, but not overwhelming, interested, but not dependent. To her emotional system, that feels rare, and rare things get remembered. That's why she may think about you late at night, not with anxiety, but with curiosity. You didn't overwhelm her with attention. You gave her an experience that left a quiet echo, and the mind always returns to the experiences that felt meaningful but unresolved. This is where most connections fall apart. A man senses that her energy has changed. She replies a little faster. She asks more questions. She becomes more emotionally tuned in. And instead of staying grounded, he panics. He starts texting more, explaining himself, looking for reassurance, trying to lock in her feelings. But when you rush towards someone who is already leaning toward you, you collapse the emotional space that made her curious. What she was responding to was not effort. It was your emotional stability. The moment you try to confirm her feelings, you turn emotional tension into pressure. And pressure makes her nervous system pull away. Attraction grows when a woman feels free to explore her emotions, not when she feels forced to declare them. If she is thinking about you, you don't need to chase it. You need to stay the same man who made her feel it. When you realize a woman is emotionally thinking about you, your role is not to speed things up. It is to stay centered. Be present without being demanding. Be interested without being anxious. Be emotionally available without being emotionally dependent. This balance is what keeps her feeling safe while still feeling drawn in. If she opens up about something personal, don't rush to analyze or fix it. Listen, acknowledge, offer calm understanding. That tells her your presence is steady. If she becomes quiet or slightly distant, don't react with insecurity. Give her space while remaining emotionally grounded. That tells her you don't disappear when emotions fluctuate. When you express interest, do it clearly but calmly, not with urgency, not with pressure, with certainty. A woman who is thinking about you is already emotionally leaning in. What she needs is a man who can lead that emotional energy with steadiness. That doesn't mean controlling her. It means holding your own emotional center. When you speak, let your words be intentional. When you show care, let it be natural. That combination, warmth and stability, allows her to trust what she is feeling instead of fearing it. And when a woman feels safe exploring her emotions around you, she doesn't pull away. She moves closer. At the end of the day, women don't choose the men who chase them. They choose the men who make them feel more alive inside their own emotions. If a woman is thinking about you, it's not because you entertained her. It's because you shifted something in her emotional world. You showed her calm without distance, strength without pressure, presence without need. That combination is rare. And when something feels rare, the mind holds on to it. That is why she replays your words, your pauses, your energy, not because she needs you, but because something about you feels meaningful. If she is genuinely thinking about you, she will find subtle ways to keep you in her life. Small messages, quiet curiosity, gentle emotional openings. Your role is not to force anything. Your role is to remain the man she began to feel drawn to. Speak when it matters. Be present without overreaching. Lead with calm confidence. Because when a woman feels emotionally inspired by a man, not pressured, not chased, she chooses him naturally. And when she chooses, she does it not from fear, but from desire.